Okay, we are live.
Okay, welcome everybody. This is March 19th, 2024 at 4 p.m. Let's call this meeting to order. I get a motion to approve the meetings for the previous board meeting. All in favor? I'd like to welcome new board member Nathan Brandon. Welcome.
Thank you.
So let's roll right into this. So no visitors or commissioners since it was good sign. So going into old business.
Updates. I believe all of you got a copy of this page. You should be in your packet there. Back page. This is an up-to-date status of aircraft operations, fuel sales from January 1 of this year till March 15th, which was our last Friday at midnight. The highlight of this is down at the bottom on fuel sales. I will not cry about fuel sales this time around, okay? I promise you. We've actually sold 1,932 gallons as of Friday night midnight of Jet A. That's almost 4 times what we've sold in Avgas. Part of which is because we've lowered the price and it's gotten out there. We've also had some ag operations, but a lot of helicopter usage is what's selling this. That's what's coming in and buying the fuel. A lot. That's a lot of it. 510 gallons of Avgas with total sales of a little over $10,000. So that's this time of year. That's good. So and that is even at the $4, we're still turning a small profit. We're somewhere around 55, 60 cents a gallon on the jet. So I can't match other airports in their price because we don't have that many based here. So the only way to get them to come in and buy our fuel is to bring the price down lower, and yet still keep it above, keep a profit margin on it. It may be a smaller profit margin, but at least that keeps our fuel moving and keeps people coming in here and using it. So that will get our stats up as well. Also, since the first of the year operations, we've had 468 aircraft operate here. 92% of those have been visiting aircraft. You see 432 aircraft were visiting and 36 aircraft were based aircraft. Now this is all coming from per tower. There's some counting and stuff. So I'm sure there's some aircraft that are not on here that we're not transponding, and so they weren't picked up. But single engine is by far the largest amount of aircraft coming in at 77%. Multi-engine aircraft, 44 aircraft flights at 9%. Helicopters, both military and civilian, made up 9% as well, almost the same amount as the multi-engine. BUZ, I'm going to take it that's business of some sort. I don't know exactly what that stands for. Anyone got an idea? In aircraft type, you got SEL with single engine, MEL, multi-engine, HEL for helicopter, military helicopter. It had a MET, which I thought was a multi-engine turbine, other, and then BUZ. So I'm not sure what the BUZ actually stands for. So I do know that we've had business. I do know that we've had Vulcan has had their jet come in a couple times in this past year. And so it may be, I don't know, but no, that's 19 flights in, so that's 4%. Surprisingly, the busiest day of the week is Sunday. And the least busy day of the week is Friday. I don't understand that, but that's the way it is. Monday is the second. You'll see on here, and then Wednesday, then Tuesday, and Saturday, then Thursday, and of course last is Friday. I don't know. I guess maybe it's because you're not getting business flights, but and long weekends must start on Thursday. So that's what I'm guessing. Hours of operation where you've had since the first year where you've had more than 20 flights in a given hour period are listed. 7 in the morning, And then from 11 to 6, any other hours were less than 20 flights during that hour. So just to give you some updates on some of the things and how the operations are going here. Any questions on that?
With the increase on fuel sales, is there any outlook on resupply? Are we starting quite a bit of fuel to?
We still have, I have to go back and check. I haven't heard Bob's numbers this week, but we're probably still sitting around 2,000 in jet fuel. And we're probably more like 3,000 in avgas right now. But we're less than 2 months out, and I've already sold half of my stock of jet fuel, and I'm thrilled with that because we refilled back in December. So, and the prices right now they fluctuated, but they've not gone up enough to be concerned about the price that we're charging. So we're still at somewhere around 320, 325 a gallon for jet. And that's the one I've got the least amount of profit on. Avgas is running a standard margin on it, but the jet is actually we're running a less of a margin. Most of them are. So, but I'm trying to watch that to make sure that my upcoming numbers aren't going to affect what I'm getting. So that's the reason I get a price list on fuel prices every week. Every Monday I get an updated fuel price, so I watch that and make sure that whatever it is, I can still get fuel and still be able to make a profit on it or have a profit margin on it.
You said 9%, so the helicopters make up a majority of the fuel sales. Is that what you said? The helicopters were the ones that so they're not.
The only helicopters around here that I'm aware of that don't run on because they're turbine engines. Mm-hmm. The only ones that are not turbine engines are the Robin. And those are the ones that use avgas, but most all your other helicopters you're using, all those are using jet fuel because they use a turbine engine. So, and like I said, we've had a lot of fuel sales to helicopters in the last month and last 2.5 months. Actually, in the last month and a half, February and March, when we've had most of our sales. We've had a few in January, but for the most part, February and March have made up the jet fuel sales.
The Titan Aviation?
That's who we're contracted with Titan.
Very good.
Hangar rental, they're all rented. We've got one again is he behind or did he ever get caught up?
Actually supposed to be sending a letter.
A letter for what?
They're kicking him out.
Okay. Well, I mean, we still 2 months.
Yeah, 2 months.
Okay, Greg, we're going to get a letter housed.
Yeah, is that an abandonment? Is that an is it an empty?
He doesn't park his aircraft there. He flies in. He's from Missouri. And I've got about 5 aircraft right now from owners in this area that are waiting for a hangar. So he doesn't park it here. He flies in, flies out, and he's not paying. He's 2 months back. So we need to let him go.
Well, we need to talk a little bit about procedure. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I was just trying to look at you.
Oh, okay.
It's not on.
Sorry. Is my picture not up there?
Yeah, it's up on the other screen. I'm looking up here on the far screen, not back at you.
Oh, okay. In any event, if it's an abandonment, we can just immediately accept the abandonment and move on. If it's not an abandonment, then we have to go through a forcible detainer action, and that's a pain in the neck. So we need to look at the facts and circumstances to see, do we have evidence that the hangar has been abandoned? He hadn't been in it for.
We have a month-to-month hangar lease, and he's 2 months out.
Well, I know, but non-payment is not necessarily an abandonment of. There's a lot of people who rent places and don't pay the rent, but they stay there and live there. Well, here we got a different situation because we're just parking. It's just a parking spot. So it's a little harder to identify an abandonment. but not paying the rent doesn't necessarily constitute an abandonment.
Well,
So-
we're gonna put a lock on it, so he's gonna have trouble getting back in it. There's nothing in
stop.
it. There's nothing in it. To my knowledge, there's nothing in that hangar. No airplane, no, nothing.
And never has been.
Oh, yeah, he brings a plane in and parks it when he flies in, but that's
But I
it.
mean, he's never kept anything there.
No.
Not that I'm aware of. I'd have to check with Bob on that.
Okay, yeah, let's talk. Have Bob contact me or you contact me. Let's talk about what evidence we can put together of abandonment. So because abandonment is a much better alternative than having to terminate and evict.
Okay, all right, we'll do. But other than that, everything's going fine. Like I said, I've got actually got 6 with aircraft in this area. And that's what I'm gonna look at from now on, is I'm gonna start looking at if they're from this area. That's better to have the aircraft here than, and I know there's a lot of people that come in, but that may be what we use the 60 by 60 for. Once we get it built, we can use it as a community hangar. People can come in and park in there if it's got space. You know, but, if everybody else is up to date or paid ahead, so we're doing well. Right now, our revenues are still above our expenses on both fuel and on what we're paying out for our bond payments. So the overall is looking good. We're a little ahead on both, so that's not an issue. Good news on what we're talking about, the finances. It looks like both the House and the Senate and their version of the budget have got money in there, or asked for money in the biennium that would actually give us the other $200 gift to all the general aviation airports in the upcoming year. So that would be another monies we could actually use even in operations if we needed to. The BIL, we're trying to use it towards we've gotten the commitment still. Like I said, we've gotten commitment on the base from the state. The BIL toward the hangar, and we could use the 200,000, additional 200,000 toward the hangar if we needed to, or we could use it for base operations like mowing and other things of that nature. This year, we've had a lot of expense on maintenance. There's still, we've had the edge lights on the taxiway. We've had to go back and fix them. We had a regulator out. We got really nervous for a while because we thought we were going to be out 4 to 6 weeks, and just all of a sudden they said, boom, it came in, believe it or not, and they sent it to us in 2 weeks. It took us 2 weeks, but we finally, and within 2 weeks, got the edge lights on the taxiway back up. But right now we've got to replace the beacon. We got one light working. We've got to replace it and do some other work. So we're looking at probably 12 to 15,000 on that work, and then I think that's what it was. I can't remember it right off the top. And then the PAPI and the reels, where they had originally thought it was a $200,000 replace because it's PAPI reels and wiring. We thought it was going to be around 200,000. Well, they've gotten some updated numbers, and it's going to push 300,000 to 400,000 to replace them. So when we had the conversation with FAA. They asked us, they said, is this reaching end of life? What's the reason you need to replace these? I said, number one, they're old. And one of the engineers said, yes, it's beyond its life expectancy. But on top of that, finding parts is getting much, much more difficult. I mean, we're having to wait weeks to get parts in, not just days. It's that far out, and it's because they can't find them. So that's one of the issues that we're trying to push on that. But again, that would be toward a grant. I think they have approved the grant, Greg, if I'm not mistaken, on the 180,000 for the fence design and land acquisition. So
Great.
So we've got that move. Looks like we're going to have that ready to move forward. contract, the mowing, same group as last year. Fairway, fairway mowing, was it fairway what?
I think.
Fairway Lawn Care. They're gonna be doing our mowing again. They did a great job last year and they're back again this year. We had 3 people ask for bid packets. And then when they found out they couldn't just bush hog it, 2 of them just didn't show up. So, oh, that's work. I think it's got us caught up to our state and safety inspection. Was real and good. We had it done last fall. I didn't get it until last month. They thought they'd sent it apparently and forgot, but it was in such good shape it wasn't an issue. The only thing that they found was when they went to put the new pavement on the runway, it actually raised it up a little bit, so we've got like an inch and a half. They want us to move the shoulder, raise the shoulder up an inch and a half, because when they did the paving, it raised the asphalt up, and now there's a dip off the edge. So, Doc, you hadn't found that yet, have you? All right, good deal. So, but yeah, that was the only thing they brought out in our safety inspection. So I was pleased with that, very pleased.
Very complimentary letter too.
Yeah.
Is that a recommendation or something we need to be done by a certain time?
Well, they recommended, and we're gonna try to get that this spring. So, and you can see it's not that much, it's just along the edge. And I'm gonna see if I can get a hold of somebody that's got one of those edgers that'll drop it off the edge. And then we'll have to come back with something small and grade it. So. Right now, the city employees are working heavily on 10th Avenue, trying to get all the drainage on it done. And they've been working pretty hard for the last few weeks. And they got down in the bottom where they were putting in a set of double culverts where they need that to flow the amount of water, but they don't have the depth to do it. So when I got in there, said they had timbers underneath those. And after they pulled the timbers out, they figured out why. It was bottomless for a while. So they've got to go down to something solid and then backfill it with some rock to get it, because it's just that soft down there. We had the same issues with the amphitheater when we put it in. You could watch the road when the vehicles run over that gravel road going out to it. You can just watch it roll with the truck. It was that soft. So they went down a ways and put some big rock in. So that said, that's pretty much the whole business, catching you all up on what's going on and what we've got going. On the budget, we're going to go back and pretty much for the same, but we're going to readjust maintenance because of the amount we've had to spend this year. We're going to readjust that figure. And then the other things are going to be the projects that we've been talking about, the money with the hangar and the fencing and stuff like that. Those are items. We still have to go back after we went in and did the penetration removal, to get the approach on 28. Was it 28 or 10? 28. Yeah, is that right? Coming in over going west to east. That would be 10, wouldn't it?
Yeah, this is
But anyway, coming from the east going west. I'm sorry. That's the one I'm talking about. That approach with the trees in there. We would remove what they had shown us. Well, now they've come back and said, well, there's a few more that you need to go in there and do. So we'll have to go back and add some more, but that's not enough. It's going to change our approach. So it didn't change that, but they do want us to go back and address some of those other penetrations. And I'm talking about trees that are above a certain height. So
Are they by the Eagles?
no, they're further out than that. Best I can remember. I think all the penetrations that they showed were back over in the tree farm in that thicket on the far side of the tree farm, or over along 24, or not 24, but the roadway that goes over there, the borders, that's 641. No, I guess it's the bridge going across, it's the bridge going across. It's on the other side of 641, on 62 as it goes across the bridge, all goes across the lake. So there's some trees and possibly in that area, need to be a few trees to be removed. Good thing about all those, if you cut those, they just want to fall. You don't have to worry about it, just leave them where they like. So that's helpful. Well, yeah, all the projects that we're gonna have are gonna be in what we've talked about, fencing, hangar, or at least getting ready to do the 60 by 60. If I had a few more locals, if I had about 4 more locals, I would, that with aircraft, not pending, but had aircraft, we could fill another hangar, another nesting hangar of 8. I don't know if that, but again, that's just going to take, right now I've got, like I said, 5, I think it's 5 right now. I like to make sure that I've got at least one more, because someone always seems to moves out. But I've got right now 5 locals with aircraft. So
the two major
I'm
projects.
still waiting for John to get his.
So the two major projects of the fence and the 60 by 60 hangar, we think we can get those done this year.
It depends on the state, honestly, because the state is going to lead these projects. They're the ones, the property belongs to them. They've got to do the negotiating for any acquisition. If they're going to have to do the acquisition, they've got to do a lot of approval. We're going to be part of it, but they're going to be the ones that have to lead these. We'll use Hanson and stuff like that, but right now it's that's where we kind of sit on that. We can't do the hangar until we get the base in, and they've committed verbally a commitment where they're going to put in the base for what would be 2 of the 60 by 60s, nested 60 by 60s. So they're going to put in the base and the front parking area for that, for aircraft parking, for 120 by 60, and then the area in front of that. So that's what so that would give us, if we did one, then we'd have the room to do another one down the road if we needed it. Because I've had someone express interest in the 60 by 60 as operating a business. Now, whether or not they follow through with it or not, that's something else to be said. But at least if we had the 60 by 60, we could put in a twin. Someone could lease it for twin use or larger aircraft use, or they could actually use it. Like we said, we could use it for others that are coming in that don't have a hangar, that have a place to put it in a community type hangar setup. So
How's the courtesy car doing?
so far, so good. It's there. We have people, we tell them, I've talked to 2 or 3 pilots that have come in. They were waiting for from Patty's to come get them. And I've told them, I said, if you need a courtesy car, I said, just call the city hall, call the number. I said, we'll get you information and make sure we can reserve it for you. I said, but it is by reservation. So, but so far, I think it's gone out twice.
Yeah.
It's not a big demand for it as I thought it would be, but I think it's another thing. It's just not known.
Right.
It's like us having jet fuel. It's just not known as it goes. And we put it on both AirNav and ForeFlight, as well as website, so they know they've got it, and we've told them that contact us. So
Okay, that's old business, new business. Anything else we need to talk about?
is there anything that you guys have on your mind about the airport that I need to look at or look into?
At one point, we were talking about expansion on the runway, and it that's dead, right?
Well, yeah, I have to talk with the state. The most we can get is 750, and that's not really going to help us a whole lot. not for what the cost would be to actually go after that ground. So I think they pretty much backed away from it, because that was the holdup on the fence all along, is do they want to do just fence what we've got? Or do they want to go back and see about going as far as we can go? Well, again, we're pretty well stuck going east.
Right.
You know, the slough's already got us.
Sure.
And going west, the best we could get 750, and that's not enough. You know, you need 5,000 at least. You know, and it's not really enough. What can come in with the other 750 feet can come in right now, almost most of them, depending on their weight and the time of the year. I mean, I've got aircraft coming in that you never would have thought would come in there. That jet from Vulcan was something else. At least they called us and asked us. You know, when he told me what kind of weight he was had, I called the engineers. I said, "What do you think about this?" He said he'd have to come in 20 years on a regular basis for it to do much damage to your runway. So I'm going like, I called him back. I said, "Make your mind up on whether you want to try to make it or not." I said, "You know, it's a small runway. You know what it is. If you can handle that, we can handle you." And so they came in several times. So, but they said they could handle it. So I was pleased with that.
If we got
Sorry.
what was it?
The Vulcan's jet, it was I think it was a Gulfstream. They started out with another one. I think that they actually brought a Gulfstream, which was smaller and lighter than the first one they were thinking about bringing in. But they did, and they came in several times. And it looked like a monster compared to what you used to see out there. I looked up in the air and going, "It's an airline." You know, I'm not sure where they come out of, but yeah, beautiful aircraft.
So the 60x60, if we got to and one went to a business, hopefully a flight school or something like that. Have you thought about what length of a lease we would give them and what support we would give them to bring them in?
Well, in this case, they would just have to do the lease. We'd have to come up with a lease on it because we're paying for it. They're not building it. We are. And so that way it's ours or leasing it from us. It's not a long-term lease where they're actually building the aircraft or building the hangar. And in talking with someone about that, the holdup on it is the requirements that the state's going to have and FAA is going to have, because it's connected to a general aviation, is focused on your private property. You know, he said, you know, I could run this as a helicopter. I could run this off my private property. I said, you sure could. And it's probably cheaper for you to do so. But you have to understand, this is state property. It's not private property. It's state property. And it's also tied to an FAA airport, not just the area. And so they're going to be more stringent on what has to go in. You know, and you're looking at something that's supposed to be there and serviceable for a long term, like 20 years or so. Then they need something that's going to stand up to it. It can't be a shoddy job. So we don't want just a pole barn out there when we're putting in nice nesting, hangars and stuff. So it's better for us, I think, at this point, unless a corporation were to do something like that, to put in our own and work that way. Because I think the need on a 60x60 will be filled one way or another. And it's smaller than this gentleman wanted to build it originally. But at the same time, when he got to look at the prices of it, he decided, I could do that on my own land cheaper. I said, that's probably true, but it probably won't have the view and the being noticed as well as it is here. Right. But at the same time, I understand the issue for him. That's a large investment for a small business or someone just getting started. So, so right now he can run the helicopter right out of his, hangar, and it'll fit, and he's got a hangar. But if he's going to do a business, he's going to need something that's got some space for office or whatever. And that's why I think the 60x60, if it's not utilized for that purpose, then we can utilize it for transient aircraft. Or hopefully, I've had 2 or 3 say that we bring a twin or a bigger aircraft if you had the space for it. We'll see if they put their money where their mouth is. At least this is on monies that are coming from the bipartisan infrastructure legislation and some of the other grant monies maybe that we're getting from state. And I think that's hopefully it keeps it from coming out of city coffers and taxpayers here in the city. So that's, at least that's my hope and gain. That's the way it's going. That's the way it needs to play out. Because we'll have more money coming in from the bipartisan infrastructure. It was over a 3 or 4 year period. And we've got to utilize some of that or else we may lose it. I don't want to lose it. So, and there's more to come than that we've already got. I think we've got like 210,000 and expecting something close to that, maybe a little more. I have to go back and look. And then of course we've gotten 200,000 last year from the state. Looking at this, if this biennium budget goes through as proposed, then there's another 200,000 that would be coming, not, and that's above our FAA money. So,
We don't get FAA money this year.
we're supposed to, is it we get it every 2 years or every year?
I thought it was every year.
I think it is. They evaluate it every 2 years. That's what it is. But yes, we should be getting, we get 150 a year for that. So.
Okay. Anyone else? New business? Anything else to talk about?
I think anything done.
Get a motion to adjourn. Second. All in favor?
I appreciate you all coming in.
Thank you.
Welcome, neighbor.
Good meeting you.
Great. Have a good evening, sir.
You
I
too.
didn't ask you, did you have anything else you want to add? It's a little late, but.
No, those are my issues.
Mike Slade.
Donnie knows me so well.